Guys, welcome. Cliff Checker, and I'll be your host. Looking at this, I think you can hear me. And likely can see me. There's some things around, though. Crazy here. Hello there, guys. Welcome from the great, I was going to say state of Ohio, the trying state of Ohio, but the Queen City, all right? Radio City, rock and roll city, Cincinnati, baby. We're doing well here, even if, our state is in dire straits. Hopefully be better soon. But thank you, guys. I think you can hear me. It looks like you can hear me. Petrazzi20, great Italian name. Member Cliff Edges we have in there, huh? I love seeing him get talked over. Ooh, burn. Hey, I love that the trolls are here already. By the way, guys, welcome. This should be fun. We're going to be talking about everyone's favorite incel dork, Elon, today, the broligarch of all broligarchs. I think a lot of this show will be dedicated to him because he's getting so many lawsuits. He's being ripped apart by so many Democrats. He's insulting judges that are freezing his actions. There's bills that are coming out to hold him liable for all of his actions. It'll be a weird thing for Elon if he actually, at some point, the government holds him accountable and doesn't just hand him money for all of his failed ventures that are all literally government supported. But, he wants to cut Medicaid checks and stuff because obviously they don't deserve it. And people that don't have enough money for food don't deserve it. But yeah, he should get tons of money for his crashing, in so many ways, Tesla sales. It keeps growing. I think it's down 60-something%. No one's buying Teslas anymore. Good job there, Heil Elon. And we'll talk about a couple other things. Some Democrats that are ratcheting it up and really doing a great job. It sort of ties into the Elon story. Republicans, sycophants, a few who've introduced new bills that pioneer new ways to kiss Donald Trump's rather large spray-painted rear. Pride. They don't have much of it. And a couple other stories around there. I mean, of course, one of these is Mike Johnson, but Mike Johnson, he's got to monitor his son's computer. So that keeps him busy sometimes with, when his son is playing a game with his joystick, he has to watch and make sure that he doesn't harm his hand, of course, get, Sega thumb. Sheldon Hughes gifted one Cliff's Edge membership. Sheldon, you the man, as always, coming in right from the beginning. Oh my God, Tony's here already. That means I can't even rantify before Tony comes in here. And Tony was already being made fun of too by one of our trolls. We have a troll here, Tony, I think. So I'm pretty excited to
oh yeah, great.
add you.
Yeah.
Can you? Where
What's
are
his
you,
name?
loser? Who insulted Tony? Oh, it goes by Cliff's Edges. He's making fun of me.
Oh man.
Oh, it's so cute. Let Cliff's
hate
Edges stay around for a little bit because I haven't had. You know how much I like to have fun with our poor
I
little.
like the trolls too. I like the trolls.
Yeah,
too.
look, he's sitting with a bottle of Old E in Mommy's basement, chugging that down between large gulps of Mad Dog, wondering why the factory left town. He couldn't get off his arse.
He can't afford that kind of. He can't afford that kind of stuff, man. He can't afford that kind of stuff.
No,
he might be using Mommy's Social Security check to.
But when they can't afford stuff, as we know from Elon going in the Treasury Department, they just steal it. And Donald Trump's entire life. So he probably just went by and he stole some stuff. And again, I mean, hey, I used to drink Old E in college. That was good stuff. Save you some money. That way, you don't even have to get up out of the chair. You can just watch as your bowling ball belly grows and falls down below your back, and you can't even see it anymore. And then you're at that point, you've reached peak MAGA. You're 70% MAGA. So Cliff's Edges, please stay here. Please, Cliff Edges. Because we like you, and I really would enjoy ripping into the entire show. It'd be great.
What was he saying? What was he shit talking? I'm trying to find what
about you. But nobody talks crap about my friends. Nobody goes dissing my friends from the Ozarks.
What was he saying about me?
Have you ever seen Ozarks Cliff Edges? Do you know what Tony can do to you?
What's that?
Yeah. Yeah, he loves
He
that.
loves that. He loves that.
I think it's insulting both of us. As in,
I see.
Tony's a wimp and I have a big mouth, or I
Now,
don't,
is that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
it's
Okay.
news that I have a big mouth. Hey, thanks for telling me, dude. Please tell me more things about myself that will upset me. In any case, Michael Easterwood, thank you very much. Almost Eastwood there, but which would be cool in the movies, but have dumb political opinions. So we're good with you as Easterwood. And
Is he
Cliff
still
Edge,
alive? Is Clint Eastwood still alive?
he's pretty close to dead, I think, which means they'll probably run him for president next time in the Republican.
It might be. MAGA
Um,
might throw him in as like defense secretary or something. So
when they stop
do you
appearing in
remember
public.
the best Clint Eastwood political moment is when he went from
Yelled at a chair.
Well, yeah, but he remember the whole "This is halftime America" because he came on the halftime show, and I forget which Super Bowl it was, but it was during the first Obama term, and he's like, "This is halftime America," because we were going through the Great Recession, right? And he got out, and they were like, Clint Eastwood, he'll give us some motivation. He'll be like, "Get your ass out there, get to work, be Americans," that kind of message. Everyone's like, "Yeah, fucking Clint Eastwood." And then like 2 years later, he's talking to an empty chair, acting like it's Obama at Romney's convention. Everyone's like, "Whoa, shit!"
So in other words,
that was a quick downward slide,
right.
like whoop.
What you're saying is it wasn't halftime for dementia. It was sort of the
Right.
third quarter. It was the third quarter heading to. It was kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs. Sorry, folks, if you're a fan. Third or fourth quarter. Where well, actually, they had a good fourth quarter because nobody was playing anymore. But
but I actually didn't get to watch the game. I was sick. I didn't realize it was free on Tubi. I don't have like network television or cable anymore.
You thought the Super Bowl wasn't free?
I didn't know where to watch it. I had no idea.
That's awesome. I respect that.
Where the fuck do you think I was going to watch it at? I got the streaming services.
Okay, hold on, Tony. Somebody's making fun of chipmunk milk. Who is it? Arizona Sunflowers. Because whoever that is, we're ready. We're ready to take them apart.
Good luck.
Nobody messes with.
Good luck making fun of chipmunk. Yeah, good luck with that. You're barking up the wrong tree.
Oh my God! Is it Jane Clark here? Is that who it is? Chipmunk Spunk. Oh my God! How did you come up with that one? It's like they both
no. She's making wait. Spunk Joe and Mika called. They want you on their show.
Am I wrong? Okay. I shouldn't insult the wrong people.
I'm not really sure what the hell.
Tell me who to make fun of. Who's ripping into?
I'm not really sure.
Are rodents mammals? Is what we. I don't know where that's coming from, but I do want to tell you because this actually was on my list of stories, and I thought this would be a great thing to talk about with a guy from the Ozarks. Not to claim that he's ever eaten a squirrel. I would never say that, or I would. But you know what? So I read an article this weekend. I was going to make a video about this. Completely not political. I mean, maybe if it's climate related or if it's, I don't know. So they've found squirrels. I think they're in California. Is it in California? I'm trying to remember where they were. They're probably in Alabama. Low IQ squirrel. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just starting to show off wrong. I love everybody who's smart and democratic from every state. It's just we have to all admit, and I'm sitting here in Ohio, the majority of my state are wankers. They're dunderheads, morons. I can admit in Ohio, and so I can make fun of your states too. So there you go.
Well, if you're from the states he's making fun of, he's not talking about you in the audience. He's talking about
I'm not. I'm talking about the overall state.
Obviously, duh.
Right. Duh. I mean, we lost by 13 points here to a dude who was a felon and a traitor and, has pissed cotton candy for hair. So we're not ripping into states, but no, this is
what's this about squirrels? I want to know about the squirrels.
So squirrels who have always eaten nuts and plants and whatever, some of them have now turned carnivorous, which sounds like a horror movie that's about to get
meat-eating
really
squirrels.
Bad.
Is that real?
Yeah. Yes.
That's fucking wild.
They've been attacking smaller rodents and eating them. And what do you think happens?
Even the squirrels are pissed off at the people at the top. They're like, "No, this 1% stuff, this 1% stuff is enough. We're not eating nuts anymore. We're gonna start eating flesh and bone until they get the actual message that Luigi was trying to send."
If the squirrels get their way, when we go to baseball games, they'll stop handing out peanuts. I'll just give you small rodents to chew on, which is nice. In all seriousness, I was reading this and hey guys, you should know what a nice guy Tony is. He was giving me a bit of a tutorial this weekend. So I'd say I'm one more tutorial away from being able to share video. And if I try it right now, I pretty much know how to do it, but you just know I'll screw it up. So I'd rather like make sure I'm 100% sure when I do.
But get one more practice in. Okay,
one more practice in.
Fair.
But because I'd show you the article. If you want, I can put a link in there, or if you know whatever. But like, yeah, they're eating smaller rodents. And again, the rule of this stuff is when you run out of food supply, you go somewhere new. So for all those people that don't like covering their ankles, if you don't like wearing socks, especially if it is in California and I'm right and the weather's nice, you may want to think about covering your feet. And but
especially if you're like a CEO or a billionaire, because the squirrels definitely know which ones to eat. I'm sure
we should direct them. We should raise a squirrel army of mutant carnivorous squirrels. I'm writing a movie right now and send them in to various monopolistic CEO headquarters. And you know, I mean, I thought the squirrels were already the ones running Twitter, considering how often it's out. Hey, Elon, I'm streaming to your platform. Is it working? And are you hearing anything? I hope you guys are, because I'm insulting you. This whole show is going to basically be just one big insult Elon fest, I think, because so many people have been getting in on the action lately. It's just fantastic. But in any case, go read about it, because I'm going to start bringing you some of that stuff that I find funny, the news of the weird. I mean, are they anticipating something, though? It is worth asking, right? Like, they're just wildfires out there in California. Like, is this an evolutionary change taking place over a long period of time because they're expecting that for nuts and vegetables to be less available, like in the water?
I mean, you know, hey, listen, if the government has their way, we may grow less nuts and vegetables that they have access to, and they're going to start harvesting all the natural, you know, all the natural resources, pumping the oil.
And the Republicans already don't have nuts, so I mean,
well, that's true. That's true. So we got a shortage. We got a shortage involved, anyways. Here it sounds like.
Oh my god! I mean, I can even share one or two of those stories, because I was going to do the. You know, I'm thinking about a couple of features. People are already talking about Melanie Stansbury, and that'll be the main feature because she is on a tear against Elon Musk. She is entering what I like to call the near Crockett pantheon of where you have sort of Jasmine and Swalwell and maybe, you know, a couple others who've had about 40 viral moments ripping the crap out of Republicans. And Stansbury is now the last 2-3. I featured her when she started going off on them for McCarthyism and going off on J.D. Vance, you know, 2 months ago, right after Trump was elected. And she's from New Mexico, Congresswoman. Get to know the name, all right? Because she would not be gavelled. Like, they tried to shut her up. And I don't want to go into it because I'm going to do a whole thing on it. But she wouldn't. She did the kind of thing that we keep saying you have to do, which is the
say the name again. Say her name again.
So her name is it's Representative Stansbury.
Oh, okay.
She is from New Mexico, the great state of. So she's new there, I believe. I wanted to look that up, and of course, ran out of time. Melanie Stansbury. I'm sure I didn't get the first name wrong. I thought it was Melanie, but okay. And she is just opening up a can of whoop arse like you haven't seen. Comer, all of them who want to protect Elon, and she was just going off on him. But I wanted to talk about this, right? Like, we should have Sycophant Watch or something. That'll be Tony's next thing on.
Yeah. I've got Tyrant Watch.
I came up with an idea. I'm doing Sycophant Watch. Okay.
Yeah,
Don't
you can
steal
do that. You can go ahead.
But I can't name it. It's got to be like Wuss Watch or something. It can't be Sycophant Watch. Representative Buddy Carter. Buddy, come on. Is that a real name? Okay. Representative Buddy Carter. He's from Georgia. He better not be related to the actual good Carter from Georgia. May he rest in peace, has made a strong entry into the competition among Republicans in Congress to flatter President Donald Trump with symbolic legislation. You know, there was that one doofus who was it Burchett? Which one of them introduced the bill to like allow Donald Trump to run for a third term? I mean, it's so sad and pathetic. Like, do these people have any spine?
No,
any soul?
It was Ogle.
Oh, it was Ogle,
Andy
but
Ogle.
Burchett did something like that. I'm trying to remember. In any case, here's what this one is. Carter introduced a bill Tuesday that would authorize President Trump to purchase Greenland. That's not just it, and rename it Red, White, and Blue Land. Are you a
why would they
clown?
do that? Why would they do that? Because billionaires, the only color they care about is green. What do they care about? They don't
Right
care
now,
about red, white, and
America is
blue.
back and will soon be bigger than ever with the addition of red, white, and blue land. And as Tony just said, and if I may use my southern accent, well, gosh darn there, Mr. Buddy. I don't know what it is you think you're doing with red, white, and blue land, but you guys are busy breaking into the treasury. You gotta go. You can get yourself some green land. It's already perfectly named.
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
get it.
It's so they are so childish in their distractions, and distractions are getting harder and harder for them to come up with. Like they're like, oh, we're gonna rename the Gulf to America, and we're like, yeah, we don't give a shit. And then they're like, oh, we're gonna rename Fort Liberty to Fort Bragg. We're like, yeah, we don't give a shit. And like, lower the price of groceries, will you please?
Right. Well,
like that's what you were elected for. What are you doing?
I know this will shock you, and it won't actually. But as I am adjusting to my new schedule, where I have some more time, I set some calls this morning. Of course, they ran long, and so I was a little bit rushed at the end. But I did get to catch a little bit of your show. I was watching a bit of it, so I did see where you were going off on that. And again, as you are so correct, and no, I don't just tell you that on here. When I think you're being a dumb hillbilly, I'll tell you that too. This is from the obnoxious.
Sometimes I'm being a dumb hillbilly.
You are. This is coming. This is coming from the obnoxious Jew. So
right,
I mean,
exactly.
it is what it is. But you know what you were saying there again. It doesn't mean you can't rip them for doing that, right? But you know, as I always talk to people about messaging, is get wherever you are. You could ask me about the light. You could ask me about the Ozarks. You could ask me about the fan over there. And
whatever the distraction is, whatever the distraction
is. My message. So all you have to say is, well, of course they're renaming. They're of course, you know, whoever it is wants to rename it, like Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I mean, we saw Elon Musk stand up on a stage and do a Nazi salute. They're Nazis. But what's really important and why they're trying to do that is they want to take your attention away from the fact that they're letting their billionaire buddies gouge you at the supermarket, gouge you at the pump, destroy you while they pocket your money. See how I did that? Easy. You don't, it doesn't mean you ignore what they said, but you give that one or two lines and preferably use it to insult them.
Right.
And then you just
which is really easy, which is really easy to do, by the way, which is really
right.
Easy
but don't get into some whole discussion about it because again, what they're doing is silly. Just like this moron. I'd be like, oh, red, white, and blue land. Oh my God. You're so creative. Did you come up with that on yourself?
How about cheaper eggs land? How about that?
Right.
How about cheaper eggs land?
Cheaper eggs land? Do you have Eden commit an act of treason and attack the Capitol on January 6th land? Does that exist anywhere? Do you have the fact that we're a band of hucklechucks who sit around all the time in our caucus laughing and gurgling and whatever while the price of your gasoline shoots through the roof land? Is that out there?
Right. I mean, how about the Gulf of lower gas prices? How about that?
Yeah, maybe you could do
Gulf
that.
Of lower gas prices. That'd be intelligent.
Maybe.
Right? Well, they wouldn't want to say that though. They wouldn't want to say that though, because then they would point out that they absolutely made a bunch of promises that they knew were lies. They knew they were lies. They knew they were lying this whole time.
I mean, maybe instead of red, white, and blue land, you should put it red state representatives sniff glue land. That would work for me. I'm just saying there's so many easy ways, and this is the thing. You know, this may become something on the Substack too, because I don't know. You guys have to tell me if you'd be interested in reading it. But you know, I am an evangelist. That's the only time I'll ever use that word for myself.
Easy on the bad words.
I found Jesus.
This Jew found Jesus all of a sudden. MAGA's made him find Jesus.
The problem is I found him the wrong night and I was armed, and that didn't go down well for him. Okay.
Oh shit! Here we go. Now they're really going to torch you.
Now I'm really going to piss off the Christianese out there. No, but it looks like I assume I could be wrong. I assume it's from Twitter, which may be a reason to keep streaming there. That's where we're getting our supply of trolls from, and I'm enjoying every minute of it when they come in here. So mocking them is it makes it better. But again, I may do something on this if ever you guys like, yeah, we'd read that. And I mean, because it gets exhausting after a while when you see a Democrat and again, I'm talking about Stansbury, who's incredible. A bunch of them are incredible. Something she and Jamie Raskin, a bill they're introducing, I'm going to talk about, is incredible. Like there's a lot going on with great, smart, talented Democrats. So I had to feature Jasmine Crockett twice last week because she had two different, independent of each other, completely amazing takedowns of Elon Musk. But at the same time, there still are some who just be like, well, shame on you, or they'll, of course they're acting like that. I mean, if they would just sit down, we could work in a bipartisan way. No, and no. every time there is a microphone in front of your mouth, this is to me the name of my book or something. I don't know if I ever write another one.
Microphone in front of your mouth. Is that what you call it?
Or I would say every time there's a mic there, or so, I don't know, whatever. Every time there's a microphone, every time you're on TV, every time you're on the radio, hell, even when you're talking to friends, some of whom maybe is not as much dedicated Democrats as you. Remember, you're part of the pipeline of information to them. Every time you do that, you are messaging. So if you're not taking every public opportunity or any group opportunity, right? You're at a parents, like a school board meeting. You're at a poker game with your friends. If you intelligently sit down and you put together the best ways to show what unbelievable, complete lummoxes the Republican Party are, and on the opposite side of it, and what they are doing right now, how they're hurting people, the fact that an egg is more expensive than a Fabergé egg, I think at this point, then, you'll win. We'll win. And we need to make up for it every way possible. Because again, we don't have corporate media on our side, and we don't have a big right-wing media BS infrastructure. So that's what I'm saying is always make sure you are messaging to people, just like you should always make sure you're subscribing to Cliff's Edge Substack.com and Tony Michaels Substack.com, which Jim so kindly put up here.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim.
Did you say Jim in an antagonistic way there?
No.
Oh,
Jim's the best.
Jim. You better not mess with Jim. Jim's my boy.
Hey, hell no, I wouldn't mess with Jim. Shit, no, I wouldn't mess with him. What do you think? He's like the Pied Piper of mods. What are you talking about?
Jim, he owns me here now. He could just start doing anything in there, and I wouldn't be able to figure out how to stop him. You just be like,
Jim gets to decide. Jim gets to decide which trolls stay and which trolls go. He's got the almighty power of the mod tool. So,
well, and yeah, I should set a sort of basic rule on that. No, this part will be real, which is if any of you guys out there are being upset by a troll, let me know and we'll boot them. Because I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable here and not enjoy themselves and not, learn and not whatever. And if somebody's ruining that, then, we kick them out. For me, my preference is if you guys are cool with it and there's no pressure here, but is to let them hang out for a bit because I like to rip into them. It sort of tests my creative insulting. I get to see what, practice sort of, my innovation and whether I can still do some stand-up comedy on the run here while just riffing and jazzing. So I find
it's a good demonstration too. It's a good demonstration of how to do it. If you're ever in public or in real life, you can see how to smash one of these trolls with words. It's pretty easy, actually. They're pretty weak. That's why they're a troll. That's why they come into the chat. Because they're pretty weak in real life, so they don't have any really standing to say anything. One of the things that I'll say before I go, because I got to get going here.
Okay, I'll pull it together.
If you want to troll someone, one of the best ways to do it is do it on an offhand troll. Okay, now here's how you do it. If you're standing in the checkout line at the grocery store, right? And you catch behind you, you've seen these MAGA. You've seen these MAGA.
I love what
you've seen these MAGA. And you get to the checkout and you're paying for your groceries. And you just let out a way like, whoa! When they tell you the price, like, whoa, man. Now you don't say his name. It's important that you don't say his name because it's way more effective. If you say, I thought he was gonna lower the price of groceries. Isn't that what we voted for him to do? Is lower whoa, that's more than it was the last time. And this person standing behind, if they voted for Trump, which you're pretty sure they probably did, just by the look of them, they got 3 teeth, they kind of got their belly hanging out. You know what I'm talking about?
We know what we're talking about here,
right? Yeah. And if you don't say his name, they think Trump. They think Trump. They see Trump. They hear him saying, I'm going to lower the price of groceries. I'm going to lower. They hear it in their mind, and you didn't even say his name, and you invoke that feeling in their head. You talk about living rent-free or not rent-free, because we know rent is so goddamn high. You want to live expensive rent inside their head. That's how you do it. That's a
Well,
good
let me
troll.
say a few
Yeah.
things before Tony leaves. First, Tony
Go ahead.
Osmond, Cliff, we had the trolls send D pics of Hunter Schlong. I will not, because we don't do porn here. if this switches to the Pornhub politics, that's what I should have called it. Then I'd get everybody, or get everybody off. Sorry, but
Did
if
you
I
just Elmer Fudd into the microphone?
yeah, something like that. That was such a bad uncle joke that I just felt like I had to do a goofy laugh to it. But if I did that, yes, that they'd probably ban me, and I would also make the case that that people. I don't know if it bothered Hunter or not. I know that it gave Marjorie Taylor Greene some of the best days of her life. I think she's still calling for that to be added. They're like, can we bring Hunter back in? Can we bring him in? I'm tired of my right wing news friend, and I'd like my badly built bleach blonde body to.
Yeah, whatever it is. Easy. The Jasmine Crockett owns that. She might knock you on. I don't know.
No, that's true. Well, in any case, point being, we wouldn't do that here, but I do enjoy how they do that there. That actually, again, we're getting to what I'm going to be talking about today beforehand. But I would argue, and if you need to leave in a second, that's cool. I just wanted to make the comment that I would argue that what you were saying there, Tony, actually is not a troll. That's messaging. Because if you pretend, you should do that all the time, because when you see somebody, because you pretend like you may actually influence somebody who's on the fence, or you may whatever. If you're sitting there, we have Glendale, Arizona, liberal tears are a beautiful thing. Oh, we're gonna have fun with you, pal.
Boo-hoo.
We'll get to you in a second, my friend.
Let me tell you. So I actually
have your squirts on the toilet for a little while you're trying to think of your next big line. All right, pal. You
he probably does piss
right
sitting down. Ear. I bet he does piss sitting down. Let me tell you. So I don't just talk the talk. I practice what I preach. So I was in Sam's Club the other day, and I forget what I was buying. But I do the checkout with the app thing where you scan all the items yourself, and then you walk out of the store. You don't have to go to the goddamn cash register. And so I'm scanning the items, and this lady walks by, and I didn't know who she voted for, and how am I supposed to know by? But I just said out loud, God damn, I thought he was supposed to lower the price of things. And she kind of gave me this look like, oh my God.
No, that's brilliant.
It's just one at a time. Just one at a time. You do it every time you go in the store. You do it even if you're standing in the aisle and there's 4, 5, 6 people around, and you're grabbing a cereal box that you always grab. You're like, whoa, this stuff was $2 cheaper last week. I thought he was supposed to lower the price of groceries. And just say it out loud, just loud enough for everyone to hear. It's the easiest protest in the world, and like Cliff said, it's messaging, but it's message by troll or message by protest.
Because for me, the more of what I would call trolling is there have been times where, like losers like this Glendale, Arizona guy, right, who's sitting there in his stained T-shirt, probably scratching his belly hair, as he's searching for, he's sitting there searching for his testicles, but obviously there's a very large lump of bowling ball that's hairy, probably hanging over it. Probably hasn't had a job in a while, poor guy, because again, the factory left town because the Republicans he voted for. He moved out to strip more. He moved out to the Strip Mall USA in Glendale. Hey, let's move out to the newly created suburb of Glendale and look exactly like everybody else. Hey, did you go to an Applebee's this weekend, my friend? Did you enjoy yourself?
Oh my God!
So in any case,
I think Glendale is what I call a bootlicking cousin fucking MAGA is what he is. That's what he is, probably.
Oh my God! Listen, again, if you want to troll them, the way to do it is you stay. When you see the MAGA hats on, and you do when you go to a restaurant, or whatever, then you purposely start talking how loudly about something like really weak and feminine and pathetic about Donald Trump, which not feminine is the wrong word because I don't want to insult anybody, but that insults him. But weak and pathetic and flaccid, because again, as Stormy Daniels pointed out, Glendale, Arizona, your guy has a mushroom for a schlong and couldn't get it up, except for when there were sharks and batteries on the screen. Have you seen the sharks and batteries? Oh, I would have to choose which one. You can come after us, poor soul, but we will just rip you to shreds. All right. So that's what I mean. That to me is the difference between a troll and a. I think what you're doing is messaging, and it's good stuff. You know. So I think you do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think everyone should do it. Everyone should protest anywhere they can, and that includes in protesting against this fool in the checkout line.
Now, can I ask you before you leave? How do you think Glendale, Arizona, lost his balls?
How?
Yeah.
No, he sold them to Donald Trump and Elon Musk. That's how
he did. So you think that was just a straight
he
out
auctioned
sort of transactional ball sale?
Yeah. He probably didn't take much either. Probably didn't take much convincing. He's like, "Oh, please, Martha, please take my balls. Take my ball. I'll lick your balls if you take my balls."
Speaking of that, Glendale, Arizona, if you want us to hear you, you're going to have to take the mask off and the ball out of your mouth, or we won't be able to hear you.
Well,
you
he needs to get Elon's little bitty ding-a-ling out of his mouth, and then we can probably understand.
Now you can leave the chain on, but the ball, you have to unstrap the ball and take it out of your mouth. Can you do that for us so we can hear what you're saying?
Yeah, okay. Liberals. Oh, those liberals are weak. I'm gonna go in their chat and make them cry. That's one thing.
He's hilarious. Like liberal tears. Oh, you're right. You've got us.
Man, you really penned us up good there.
Yeah, you got us, man. Woo. Yeah, you guys are doing great right now. You're doing great.
Try to go to a different chat room. It would probably work out better for you if you go to one of these libtards chat rooms. Yeah, that's not what they do here. This shit.
You know, I got to tell you, Glendale, Arizona, you're going to have to get more interesting or we're going to have to make you leave because you're kind of pathetic and sad. And I know your mom probably raised you at home until you were 22. And, you know, you probably were late stage puberty and high school was rough. Oh, yeah. I always picked last at recess and always picked never at the dances. And, you know, you grew up probably at a job handed to you by the local factory and then it left. And you're like, I have to actually work for a living and figure out what I'm going to do instead of just having everything handed to me in the way that everybody else in this country has to figure it out. But then nothing worked for you. So you just said, I want to move somewhere where everything looks fake and everything looks like me. And they wouldn't let you into Mar-a-Lago because you're too poor. You're trash. Trump secretly actually hates you. So you ended up out there in Glendale, Arizona, and now you get to go to all the strip malls and just go from one to another, from one exciting store to another. Wow, it is exciting out there. I hope you're enjoying your life. And if you don't come up with anything more creative, it's going to be a long 4 years for you all. I'm enjoying every minute of it. The hell out of people like you. So I don't know what you're saying. I give you one or two more times. If you're going to insult, be creative. Okay. If you can't use a multisyllabic word or you can't string a sentence together with more than like 4 words, we're kicking you out. Okay. You're too much of a loser. And
be a good troll, you little bitch. Be a good troll.
Oh my God. Joe's. I'm not going to even read. I mean, it's so dumb. Yeah. Remove him, Jim. He's not even interesting. Like, dude, Glendale, Arizona, you make Larry, or what was his name? Candrigan, that other loser who's a MAGA guy, like look downright genius compared to you. At least he came up with some interesting ones I had to respond to. You're a tool.
Yeah, he's boring AF.
Come on, I apologize, everybody. My troll game is going down. I'm not bringing. Yeah, I'm not bringing our best.
These trolls suck.
We're not bringing our best trolls. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to head out. What are you doing today, Tony?
I'm going to try to rest my voice. You know, I caught a little glimpse of the flu over the weekend. I did get my hands on some Tamiflu though. And I say it intentionally that way. But it works. It works. So yesterday morning I woke up and I had my throat was sore, and I don't want my moneymaker, you know, because I talk on the show, but after the show on a street corner, I also make money with this thing. So I didn't want, my moneymaker.
Just let me say quickly. Yeah, Jim, kick him out. He's boring.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, he sucks. He needs to pick a different place to be from than Glendale.
Yeah, and really sort of develop anything like a sense of humor, an EQ, an IQ.
Well, he's probably not actually from Glendale, Arizona. He's probably from like Moscow, Arizona.
He's just saying, right?
He's just copy posting. But so I thought I had the flu, and so yesterday I didn't have a show, and today my throat was still a little sore, but I decided to do the show. But I'm kind of making sure I've got some cough drops here so I don't lose my voice, because
Okay.
we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff. I think Trump signed these tariffs, and by the end of the week, he's going to back away from these tariffs. And the reason why is because people are going to get really mad when they find out, oh, there's going to be retaliatory tariffs and farmers are going to be screwed. That's going to
Well,
really.
as you know, wasn't he talking about it? I think it's on aluminum. As you know, we don't need that for anything.
No,
So,
steel and aluminum are like things we don't need. Like,
right.
that's,
So a guy like, let's say, like, I guess he's gone at this point, which is fine, but we can still make fun of him, which is cool.
yeah,
Glendale,
absolutely.
Michael McAndrews, you are just amazing as always. I don't even know what to say. You are, again, I've got a lineup already of some folks, and McAndrews is, I think he bats cleanup for me. Devin Hughes is in there. We got a couple folks in there, but my gosh, thank you. It's incredibly kind, my friend. Oh shoot, what were we saying? Where were we, Tony? You're younger than me. Your brain works better. Where were we?
Shit, I don't know.
What
we
you're
were in
doing?
Glendale, we were trying to figure out if we're in Glendale, Arizona, or Moscow, Russia. We couldn't figure it out.
Right. No, you're talking about your voice. I was going to say that's been going around, some of that stuff here. My kid was, his band, I've talked about his rock band. They were performing at the dance, their school dance Saturday night. And like, he had to take all of these, get all this sleep and take all this sort of like gargle salt and all this, all the cough, the cough pills and all that, because we were worried like he wouldn't be able to, get up there and hit high notes, which I should try what he did, because I can never hit high notes. So maybe if I gargled salt for like a week, I could do that. But he had some songs. He actually was singing a Michael Jackson song, and as you know, Tony,
ooh,
when you're singing "Beat It," there's some stuff you got to hit up high there. He also sang "Iris." They got some high stuff in there. It was, any case. Point being, it's in Missouri. It's here in Ohio. There's stuff going around out there, and I will ask you to leave whenever you feel up to it.
Well, I was going to say one more thing about
voice,
this.
Man.
I want to say one more thing.
You can always stay forever, but I don't want you to lose your voice.
Yeah. Well, so I was going to say one more thing. Is what I discovered about this Tamiflu. I've never taken Tamiflu before, and it really does work. Like, it paused my symptoms. So whatever symptoms that I had was the maximum amount of symptoms that I had.
Did you say you got menopause?
Yeah, menopause. Yeah.
Oh,
It paused.
I didn't hear you.
It paused my symptoms.
Okay.
So,
sorry. I'm sorry.
But the Tamiflu, what's crazy is like you got to get a doctor's visit and shit for Tamiflu. I'm like, why isn't this stuff over the counter? And I realized, you know why? It's because all the rich people want to make sure. Well, I mean, all the rich people want to make sure they get their money. They want to make sure they get the doctor's appointment. They want to make sure they get, the pharmacist gets their little take, and then the drug companies can really come in and screw you. Like this.
I think some of it's that, but I do think some of it. I mean, and I could be completely wrong, but my wife has worked at nonprofits in alcoholism and addiction. I'm probably gonna use the wrong words for it. Prevention, treatment over in prison, like that, these kinds of things. And I will say that some of that stuff can be used to make
folks listen.
So my point to you is, let me just say this one thing is, and I made this to you before, is for a while when I was doing the stuff for Bloomberg on guns, we would point out again and again and again how you could buy an assault rifle. It was easier to buy an assault rifle than cold medicine. And that is still true in 27, 8 states in this country. So,
well, I mean, the other thing that's kind of ridiculous is, listen, in most states, if you want to get high, it's legal now. Just go down to the weed store. You don't have to try to, take cold medicine to get high. You can get high and get stoned on much better stuff at a different store. You got to give your ID there too. So,
although here's what I will say, and not that I've ever done this or would ever do this.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's start with that. But if let's say you are feeling okay and you take one of those, one of those sort of Advil cold and sinus or Tamiflu or something,
right? Whatever it is,
you will have energy for that show.
Yes.
You will get quite a buzz, and you will have lots of energy.
Oh man, yesterday I was kicking it like hard yesterday. I was feeling good, man. I mean, It was almost like I was on meth or something.
See,
All right,
that's
with
what I'm
that, I'm
saying.
gonna
Be careful. Be
with
careful.
that, I'm gonna go take some more Tamiflu.
I know.
I'm gonna go take some more Tamiflu now that we're mentioning.
Wait, do I
it.
see some? Are those? Do I see some smoke in the background there, Tony? Is
Yeah, right.
there a cooking operation going on in your house?
Exactly.
You're
That's
just
what we're
cooking
doing.
food, right? Is that what it
It's
is?
just food. It's just food. It's just food. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Cliff, for having me
Hey,
on.
man. Of course.
talk to
Dude.
you soon.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, all right, bye.
All right, guys. Plenty more to talk about, as it were. In the 80s, we were all stoned on Midol. Yeah, there's lots of good stuff in the 80s that they hadn't figured out yet. Could be, I mean, hell, we're talking about cough syrup, man. Had booze in it. You just be like, oh, I've got a bad cough. And then, suddenly you are. Any of you guys ever see, which one was it? Was it Stripes? Where Bill Murray is like pretending he's drunk on cold cough syrup because he's a cabbie and a woman's like yelling at him and threatening him. He's like, well, I shouldn't have had all that syrup today. It used to do that to you. I think they've cleaned that up somewhat, but man, did it used to get you rip-roaring drunk. Why don't we do a little bit of, somebody said earlier, and I apologize, I missed it, but they said something kind like, I love it when you rant, Cliff. And damn it, do I have a rant to go with. All right. So let's do one of those, and then we will come back to talking about a variety of other things, some topics which I have already covered. Hugh does ask where Landrigan is. Maybe Landrigan will come back. Let's hope, Hugh. But I really want to talk about two things here. One, Democrats finding their footing, and two, Elon Musk losing his, if he ever had it. It's in his defense, with that sort of large teetering blubbery body of his, it is hard to get your footing. If you ever saw that picture of him on that yacht, it looked like he almost fell off into the water, which would have been sad for all of us. But lately, Democrats are speaking out more and more. And as I've said, courage is contagious again and again, because it is. You were seeing it again and again. My God, we saw it outside of the Treasury Department a week ago. We did videos on that. We covered that here. Jasmine Crockett, and not just sort of semi-attacking him, going after him. I mean, Jasmine Crockett say, we're not going to sit here and put up with this BS. And again, sorry, YouTube, you get it. Ayanna Presley referring to him as a Nepo Nazi baby. That's still my favorite one. A Nepo Nazi baby. Jamie Raskin was there ripping to him. Chris Murphy was like, I don't believe unelected billionaires and their incel little helpers, it's in the Constitution that they're allowed to go in the Treasury. Something of that ilk. I mean, they've gotten it, which is you go, when you attack, I'm sorry, folks, and there'll be people like, oh, that's mean, or, whatever. Now, like, you need to get personal. You need to make the person on the other side, when you're attacking and you're messaging, uncomfortable. You need to make them insecure. You need to throw them off. That's the key, because that's when they blow up. That's when they lose sort of thinking straight and say things that end up destroying their own cause. And that is what Democrats have been doing. And that's what some of us have been screaming about for years now. Every opportunity, as I said earlier, the mic in front of your mouth is a messaging opportunity. Use it. It's not just in what you say, it's how you say it. And we pointed out that Jasmine Crockett talked about the Republicans being castrated when it came to Elon Musk, for example. Yes, she was going after their manhood, and she's done it before. She's referred to them before as having flaccidity issues. So this was no mistake. She knows how to get under their skin. They hate it. Well, you all need to start learning the name Melanie Stansbury, because she is outstanding. I meant to look up before the show. I think she's only been there for a term or two. You guys can help me if there are folks in the comments who want to help. But I boom, out of the gate, after Trump was elected, she came out and attacked J.D. Vance for wanting to fire all these bureaucrats. They're still trying to do, and said, this is right out of the McCarthyist playbook. And she held up certain things and said, it's a purge of government officials so they can load it with their political cronies, right? This is like what they did in Brezhnev's Russia. It's not what we do here. Well, now she has been on a absolute tirade, torching. I mean, like day after day, Jeremiah's going after Elon Musk, and it's been awesome. The most recent one came just in the past couple of days. I don't think it was yesterday, but it could have been. They were in committee, Oversight Committee, where they're talking about oversight of Doge, of which, of course, there is none, because James Comer is a clown and a wimp and a loser. And they sat there and they were like, oh, well, do we have any other business? And we're going to move on. Remember, again, as we talked about earlier, these are the people that felt the need to show Hunter Biden's junk. And again, I know it gave MTG the vapors, but she can find it in other places. I know she left the husband, like she left the hubs behind, but there's always another Jim Rat or right-wing news correspondent for old Marge there to display her family values with. Or maybe she should just ask Lauren Boebert where the nearest Beetlejuice is, because she's figured out ways to hack Beetlejuice and turn it into a really fun affair. In any case, so yes, to get back to where I was before we went to Mr. Hunter there, let's talk about Stansbury. She would not stop. And when we talk about protesting and we talk about resistance, we talk about you do not give up. You don't let them silence you. And that's what was so impressive. It wasn't even just what she was saying, though that was good. She wouldn't stop. They kept gabbling, and they're little wusses they are. They kept sort of yelling, well, stop it. You're out of order. And she just kept saying, are we here in the you could sort of hear it through everything else. Are we here in the Oversight Committee going to say we need no oversight of Doge? Are we going to say that Elon Musk, who is breaking the law, has the right to go into the Treasury? It's not in the Constitution, but you refuse to even call him before our committee. And this whole time, they were like this little group of sissies. Like, they're pathetic. These little old men, whitey Republicans who were just screaming and yelling and banging gavels, which probably makes them feel all strong and non-flaccid, and they could not stop her from talking. Again, in this case, not a black woman, but a woman, and they hate it. And it was a great viral moment. It got out there and again, the symbolism is so important here. She looked strong and they looked weak. They were hiding something. They couldn't talk about Elon Musk because they're scared of him. They can't talk about Donald Trump because we talked about with that representative earlier. Red, white, and blue land. Let's call Greenland that. Hi, Don. Will you give me a job afterwards and some money, some of your debt? Let me meet Ivanka. They're pathetic. They're scared of these two men, and they won't do anything to stand up to them. So she made that clear for all of us. It's not all she did. She and Jamie Raskin have offered a bill, which I love. Let me make sure we get it right here. It is called Nobody Elected Elon Act, the Nobody Elected Elon Act, which is great. I would have gone with the Needy Elected Elon Dumb Yuts Act. Nobody Elected Elon Dumb Yuts Act, or Needy. I stepped on my own applause line there, or whatever you want to call it. But in any case, their version is still pretty good. It holds Elon Musk personally responsible for everything that Doge does. All of the records they break into and everything. Now, will it pass? Absolutely not. We don't control the House. We can't even bring it up. But this is what we talk about. It is messaging. It is messaging when she rips and refuses to shut up in a committee and stands up strong, right? When you see people get arrested, when back in the days during the civil rights protests, whether it was Martin Luther King or whoever, it sends a message when she refuses to give in to them, this group of wusses. When they put this bill out there to hold him responsible, they're messaging, they're reaching the American public who already hates Elon Musk. His numbers are dropping. His Tesla sales are laughable, okay? They're reaching the kind of proportions where they're probably going to have to remove him as CEO of Tesla, and I can't wait. And when we went into all of it in another show about, it was down 46% in California, which may be the biggest EV market in the world, fifth largest economy, 40 million people. But Western Europe, they're cratering in the rest of the United States. He's lost it all. China will have to bail him out on that, and I'm sure he'll not give them any secret information for it. So she's going directly at him with this bill. So is Jamie Raskin. Again, that is messaging. Doesn't matter whether it passes. It shows where we stand. It draws a line in the sand. And it holds him liable. It makes it clear that he's liable, that he's committing illegal acts, which they keep saying, and he has no answer for it. All he can do is lash out and insult the judge that put a freeze on him and call for his impeachment. Lash out. I don't know if you saw on Twitter where Dan Goldman, was talking about the illegal things he's doing. And he's like, "You corrupt fool, you corrupt idiot. You can say whatever. I'm not doing anything." And then Dan Goldman kindly just responded very quickly and simply, "Yeah, tell that in front of a judge under oath, big guy." Like, he is being owned. He's a deeply insecure, sad, pathetic man. And as I talked about him, in a Substack I wrote this week, to quote an old movie here to explain who these guys are, not an old movie, but 20 years, something like that, 25 years, Tombstone, right? Where Val Kilmer, playing the best Doc Holliday of all time, of course, is sitting there and he's talking with Wyatt Earp, and he's, Wyatt Earp's like, what makes a man like Johnny Ringo do the things he does? Johnny Ringo is an awful character if you haven't seen it. He's like, and Doc responds, he can never do enough killing, he can never do enough stealing, never enough destroying. And Wyatt Earp's like, why? He's like, because he needs revenge against the world. And Wyatt Earp's like, why does he need that? His answer is, for being born. Elon Musk hates himself, loathes the world, and he hates all of us for being born. And that is the simple answer here. And that is not fixable. So all we can do is electorally, politically, culturally, financially crush him. And that is what we should plan to do. And that, as you may say, has been a takedown. Folks are already saying they love that movie. Tombstone is fantastic. There are a lot of other great, of course. Well, John and Ringo, I think I just walked past your grave. I mean, Val Kilmer should have won an Academy Award for that portrayal of Doc Holliday. That scene where they're in the saloon and he and Ringo are going back and forth in Latin and French, and it's like, whoa, he's an educated man. He just keeps saying, he's like, I thought I hated him before. Now I know I hate him. I mean, there's so much great stuff, and there are other great lines too. But man, Val Kilmer owned that movie. And what's his face who played Wyatt Earp in that movie? That wasn't the one where Kevin Costner did. That was Wyatt Earp, and that wasn't as good of a movie. Kurt Russell did a great job too. There are a lot of folks who did a great job, but we had Sam Elliott in that movie with the most perfect Western accent of all time. But Val Kilmer owned that movie. Cynthia writes, my late husband's favorite movie. He constantly quotes it. Oh, well, Cynthia, I hope you can watch it and think of your late husband, and it makes you a little bit happy. Kind of makes you think good things. So yeah, it was all this says it all. Everything they're doing. And that is just when it comes to, we're talking right now, when it comes to his assault on the Treasury. And again, I didn't even compile a whole list of Democrats going after him. But it's not just Democrats. There have been a few Republicans who've now spoken out against him. Judges, which is why he's calling for the impeachment of a judge. Here's a great one. The American Bar Association. Don't know if you've seen that, but I'm going to read this to you because it's a statement from them just excoriating Trump and Elon Musk for breaking the law. And again, the American Bar Association, the Federalist Society tried to ape that and act like they were some legitimate, alternative when they're just a bunch of right-wing cranks, Republicans in robes. The ABA is still the gold standard. It is, the objective, and they don't get everything right, but I'm just saying it is an objective kind of organization for law, right? American Bar Association, this is from the Huffington Post, issued a blistering missive on the chaos President Donald Trump has unleashed in the early days of the second administration, urging the nation's courts and attorneys to stand as a bulwark for the rule of law. It has been 3 weeks since Inauguration Day. Many Americans recognize that newly elected leaders bring change. That is expected, ABA President William R. Bay began. But most Americans also expect that changes will take place in accordance with the rule of law. Yeah, for some strange reason we do. In an orderly manner that respects the lives of affected individuals and the work they've been asked to perform. Trump has issued dozens of executive orders since January 20 as he seeks to radically restructure the federal government with the help of billionaire advisor Elon Musk and his so-called Department of Government Efficiency. I'm sorry, that was from Huffington Post. So we'll get you another quote. But what they say here is, while never mentioning Musk by name, Bay skewered decisions made by Doge, including the dismantling of USAID, which I will have more for you on that during this show. I wrote a Substack on that. I hope some of you guys saw it and read it. But if you haven't, I'm going to take some stuff out of that to share with you because you need to know how important USAID is if you don't. In any case, to get back to the American Bar Association, this is chaotic. It may appeal to a few, but it is wrong. He called the administration to remember basic civics lessons. They were teaching those in emerald mines in apartheid South Africa, and I know they weren't teaching those in the home of Donald Trump in Queens while they were writing C on their applications for their housing if somebody was black. It stood for colored, so they wouldn't let them in. I don't think Donald Trump has ever had much of what you could call a civics education, but okay, it's okay to ask for it. That he should learn about the 3 co-equal branches of American government. And this will be the last thing I'll read you from it. Just last week in rejecting citizens, let me try again in English. Just last week in rejecting citizenship challenges, a U.S. District Judge John Coffenauer, that's a great name if that's it, said that the rule of law is, according to this administration, something to navigate around or simply ignore. Nevertheless, said in this courtroom, under my watch, the rule of law is a bright beacon which I intend to follow. He is correct. This is the ABA again. The rule of law is a bright beacon for our country. And that's it. It's not just a bright beacon. It is our country. It's how you separate us from other countries that are not high income nations, democracies, first world, various ways to refer to it. But the rule of law is literally one of the most important concepts, obviously, in any democracy. And we get to a point where a president, where an out of control, ridiculous conflict of interest, billionaire has got defense contracts. Well, thanks again, Merrick Garland, the guy who built a gigafactory in China and had all the close contacts with China and was meeting privately with Putin. You didn't think that was enough to maybe, when he turned off Starlink to hurt the Ukrainians, like you didn't think maybe that was a time to pull his defense contracts until we looked into the guy and figured out what the hell is going on. Thanks for leaving us that mess too. Rule, and obviously with Donald Trump, which again, we followed a stupid memo issued by an office of legal counsel in the Attorney General's office under Richard Nixon. This is not in the Constitution that we could not prosecute somebody while they were president. Gee, what does that do? It provides the incentive, if you are a law-breaking schmuck like Donald Trump, to run for president. There's no reason why a president can handle an impeachment, which numerous have, at least impeachment proceedings, and still be president, but they can't handle a legal challenge. It's the same thing. He should be prosecuted right now. Those cases shouldn't have been dropped. It is a stupid memo from a stupid time. Gee, Nixon's guy wrote it. I wonder, was there anything going on with the Nixon administration you guys can think of that maybe got him to write that? It's so frustrating, the ways in which we give it. And Merrick Garland should have ignored that crap. They all should have and said, we don't agree with this memo. It's only a memo. It doesn't have weight in law. It doesn't exist in the Constitution. We have no kings in our Constitution. We're all equal. It means everyone gets prosecuted under the laws of the land. And again, we've incentivized these guys. I generally think the last good Republican president was Gerald Ford, who I think was a good man, and I think did some good things. And the parties hadn't fully switched, sorted out yet. There were some moderate-esque Republicans. But I will tell you, there's always something that haunts everyone. Pardoning Nixon was the worst thing, and one of the worst things probably of the last 50 years, because it sent a message. I don't care if he's president. I don't care. There's nothing about our long national nightmare being over. Our long national nightmare isn't over until the person who broke the law is held responsible for it, as I would be and you would be. Once we create an elite level above the law, then people don't expect to be held accountable. And I'm sorry, I am also going to chastise President Barack Obama here, who, as you heard me before, I loved as president, and I think did a lot of terrific things. But the moment he said, we're not going to look back, we're going to look forward, when he left office, when he came into office and Bush left office, and we said all of these guys who had written torture memos, all these guys who had fabricated evidence to send us into Iraq and cause a conflagration that we have not recovered from and may never fully recover from, destroying our prestige, destroying lives, destroying wealth, and causing chaos in the Middle East. Again, we let them off the hook, and you keep doing that, and this is where we get. So, yeah, the rule of law. That's what our friend from the ABA, Bay, his last name was. He was the president, CEO, whatever, of the American Bar Association. And that is, if we don't have that, we don't have anything. So we need to start instituting that again in a much more thorough way. Yes, some Republican members of Congress, other places have been indicted and arrested, usually on things like insider trading, that kind of stuff. The first guy, by the way, who endorsed Trump, Representative Mike Collins from New York, of course, insider trading. And he got a couple of years in prison, and then Trump pardoned him. Fine. Insider trading, yeah, that's nice. How about getting some of these guys for some of the real stuff they've done? Denny Hastert didn't get in trouble for his wrestling, let's say, with 15-year-olds until he was out of office, even though that happened before he ever served, and he became the longest-serving Republican House Speaker. Longest-serving Republican Speaker in the history of the country. And look at what he done. I'd get into more detail, but YouTube will demonetize me, as they've proven again and again. So you can all look up, and I think you all know the story with him and his wrestling. Let's just say he was a wrestling coach and it was high school boys. I think you can put two and two together. If these guys are not held responsible, I'm going to go back into my criminology studies. Cesar Beccaria, who wrote, was it on Crime and Punishment or whatever it was, one of the earliest books on this, is that for you to send a message to someone to not commit a crime, the crime that they have committed, you must handle it in ways that are swift, certain, and severe. It must happen quickly. They must know it's coming, and it must be harsh enough to convince them not to do it. It reminds me of all these, like, oh, you're fined $2 million for, causing 10 billion families, I'm exaggerating, fine, 10,000 families to lose all of their money because you lied to them about derivatives. Oh, and by the way, we're gonna fine you $2 million even though you made 40. If we can get back to where elites are held to the same standard of justice as us, we can get a lot closer to democracy again. But while this kind of stuff can keep going on, well, I can sit here and just marvel at what Elon Musk got away with. Again, I'm not surprised he's getting away with it, some of it under Trump. But how the hell did he get away with it under Biden? Yes, Justice Department. Yes, Merrick Garland. How? There were numerous ways you could have gone after him. There are numerous statements that he made. He was obviously saying things on Twitter. At one point, even implying things about violent things happening to Kamala Harris, who was a presidential nominee. There are numerous ways you could have gone at him. But nope, let him keep sucking off the government teat, keep getting all this government money for his failed businesses that would all fall under earth towards the earth's core. They would fail so badly if the government didn't subsidize him. Just let him do it. Let him do that. And let him keep getting defense contracts for things like Starlink. I mean, when we know he has no allegiance to this country. He's an apartheid emerald baby and attacked our country constantly and helped Trump and met with Putin. I mean, come on. And he's owned by China. Okay. I'm going to calm down a bit. Sylvain Coiffon. I don't believe in the Green Lantern theory of government, which is if Democrats don't do everything, like, you blame them. So when you're saying here, and you come in good faith, so I'm going to debate you here on this one. So many Dems forget Obama to deal with a MAGA Tea Party House and Senate from 2010 to 16. Stop forgetting that. I'm not forgetting anything. I work in this business. I would argue when it comes to what you're saying with respect, we can respectfully do this, that's why he dealt with that from 2010 to 2016. Because a lot of Democrats were excited. A lot of people in this country were excited and came together expecting a huge change from George W. Bush, who at that point had a 27% approval rating. And we're looking for him to hold people accountable. And he didn't. They also screwed up the messaging for Obamacare, thought it would sell itself, which Obama, by the way, himself admitted later, that messaging was their biggest failure. And I'm always like, I told you to message it. You pick the three most popular things and you talk about those. Keeping your kids on their on your healthcare till they're 26. No more, free preventative visits, and no more lifetime limits, and no more pre-existing conditions. Those are 4, keeping you from getting it. Those we should have been hammering home. Instead, we let them talk all about the mandate and the other stuff. But it doesn't change the fact that, again, what you're saying here, Sylvan, is it's not accurate, because even if with what he was dealing with from 2010 to 16, he was president. He had the Justice Department. Again, he could have had investigations into former Bush people. He didn't need Congress for that. Congress was unnecessary. You can say whatever you want about him not passing as much legislation. Yes, that was Republicans being racist and recalcitrant in Congress. But you can't when it comes to the Justice Department. Why? And Obama sent that message when he came into office and said, we're going to be looking forward, not backward. It was a very clear message to who his attorneys general would be. But I don't want to, let's not continue on that, okay? We've improved. We've gotten better. We're doing better. And the truth of the matter is now I'm seeing Democrats talk about the rule of law. I'm seeing judges. I'm seeing the American Bar Association. I'm seeing folks. This is the way, as they would say in, that Star Wars show with Baby Yoda and Pedro Pascal. You know what I'm getting at. Just having a brain moment. So that's kind of the way I see all of it. Is Glendale, Arizona still here? Wow. I thought you kicked him out, Jim. I mean, we could make fun of him again. He's kind of funny to laugh at. Obama was blocked from installing the SCOTUS. He had a right to install. You're right about that. Sylvan, again, I don't like the way they messaged it. That should have been a war over a year of Republicans destroying the Constitution, obstructing, and that kind of thing. They should have used that against Republicans that entire election, but they thought Hillary was going to win. I don't blame Obama as much for that. I think he was taking, Hillary's team had sort of taken over, and I think he was listening to them. And again, I was pro Hillary. I just think we can be pro all of these people and say that I think Biden was a great president. I think Hillary would have been a great president, was a great Secretary of State, and that, Obama was a great president, Bill Clinton. But I think I can say all of that and still point out where I think they made mistakes that have metastasized into some bad things right now. And this is one of them. Sorry, we have not held them responsible. Our presidents have tried to get along with Republicans when they've broken the law instead of throwing them in prison, investigating them, and that kind of thing. Cynthia writes, Hillary was right about everything. Yeah. I mean, you see that? We talked about that, a week ago when they sent out an email exposing the names of all the new recruits in the CIA, putting their lives in danger, their families' lives in danger. Hillary had 3 emails on like a private server at home. So that definitely was much worse. Thanks, New York Times and Jim Comey, for that. Who, by the way, that's who I go after on that. Again, you can't, if you're not willing to be objective, then you start acting. I'm not saying you're being that way, Sylvan, but if you're not willing to look at this stuff objectively, if people won't overall, we don't want to be MAGA. We need to admit when our people have had shortcomings. That doesn't mean they weren't fantastic. All right? I mean, Barack Obama and Joe Biden, the only 2 Democratic presidents this century, I have a feeling will both end up in the top 10 presidents of all time. They're pretty damn good, and they deserve to be, by the way, for everything they did, especially against the kind of opposition, frothing at the mouth, Last of Us, cordyceps brain infected opposition. So I give them a lot of credit. I wrote, ads for Joe Biden in 2020 election. I didn't officially work for Obama. I did a lot of outside work supporting him, PACs and things of that nature. Again, I think they're terrific presidents. I still think you can criticize. In fact, it's a must if we're going to get better at this. When they don't message enough, we should talk about it. When they're not fighting hard enough on rule of law, we should talk about it. We're not fighting hard enough on making sure everybody has the right to vote. And there are times they can't do anything. But you always have a microphone and you always have a voice. So if you can't do anything legally, be talking. I mean, again, perfect example. Stansbury and Raskin putting the bill out there. Nobody elected Elon Act. I mean, it's right there. And now people will see it across. I just saw it on newspaper and across newspapers. Nobody elected Elon Act. They'll see nobody elected Elon in big writing. It was a smart messaging move. Even if in the end it goes nowhere. We have to think like that. Lefty Gramps, I don't know what you're saying about Hakeem Jeffries pretty much surrendering yesterday. You'll have to let me know what that is. I will say, because I want to know. He's been what he's doing in New York. So I hope it's not that. Has been up until now amazing. Amazing? Did I say that? It's been amazing. Where he's gone in and this is what I've said. You need to behave when it comes to power. You need to use it the way Republicans do, which means not for evil, but you need to, when you can control something, when you can use a loophole to gain power, when you can stand up to something that's not in the Constitution and chuck aside some stupid precedent, you do it. And what he's doing in New York, at least last I heard, is he's keeping. I'll check out the press briefing. I'm seeing what you're saying. Is he went to New York where Kathy Hochul was meeting with We Control Everything, Elise Stefanik's House seat. Remember, they barely got a lead in the House, 218 to 215. One absence and one vote changes, and they lose a vote, or a couple absences. And he went in there to meet with them, say no, don't you? They were going to have the election in March. He's like, nope. Push it back to primary. They were going to push back to primary day, Kathy Hochul in June. He's like, no, push it to November. Leave the seat open. That's hardball. And that's what we need. So I'm actually really happy with him about that. Whatever the press conference was, I'll have to check that out. But I do think even if, what I'd say to you, Lefty Gramps, is even if he failed at that moment, look at the overall record, kind of like what I said with Obama and Biden. Some of them, I criticized aspects of them, but we do have to look at the overall record, to look at who acts in good faith. We do have to look at who is, and you sort of give people the benefit of the doubt based upon how they've behaved before. I know we're not flipping Elise Stefanik's seat, Cynthia Rice. I mean, if you're talking to me, that's why you want to leave it open. It's a plus 10 Republican seat. So if you don't have the election till November, guess what? They don't have a Republican sitting there. They have one fewer Republican sitting there till November. That's why you do it. That's why it's hardball. If you let it happen, if you let that election happen sooner, as you're saying, almost definitively, I wouldn't say almost definitively, because we turned around a seat in the Iowa State Senate by 25 points. That Trump effect is already starting, but most likely the Republicans still win there because it's a big advantage. So keep the seat open, and that's what we're doing. In any case, and that's why even in the beginning, I gave John Fetterman the benefit of the doubt, because I'd actually featured him a couple times alongside the likes of Jasmine Crockett and Dan Goldman and Ted Lieu and Stacey Plaskett and all these terrific Democrats, because he had ripped into Republicans, mocked them. He'd been so good. And so when he started saying some of those stupid things, and seeming like, oh, what is going on with him? I'm like, all right, maybe he's trying to position himself somewhere a little more center left because, Pennsylvania went Republican this time. I still don't think he needs it. I think he's got that appeal that Bernie Sanders has to certain MAGA folks, that Sherrod Brown has to certain MAGA folks, and those states aren't as, Vermont's Vermont, but Pennsylvania is not nearly as red as Ohio. But okay, if he thinks he needs to do a few things, but now, I think the rule is you assume good faith until it's gone on long enough that you can't anymore. And you disagree respectfully. There are Democrats that vote against things I believe in, and I think they honestly disagree with me, and that's okay. Or they honestly think they need to for the state they're coming from. And if it's not something like about civil rights really important, that's okay too. What Fetterman has started to do is completely different. He's started to become treacherous. He started to betray us. He's now really not far from behaving like Kirsten Sinema. And it's amazing that a guy that was a Bernie Sanders guy on the left there that was attacking Democrats, certain Democrats for being too far to the right, is pulling this crap. Hugely, hugely pissed off and disappointed in him at this point. And I'm getting to where I would support a primary challenger. I think I'm already there. I mean, if this is the way he's going to be, I don't want him there. And I'm frankly willing, in what should be an amazingly huge Democratic here, which he hasn't thought about either, that with Trump and Musk, remember, Trump's approval rating is at 47% right now. And you say, oh my God, how could 47% of people approve him? Well, yes. I ask how 3% of people with firing neurons could approve of anything Trump does. But that's not the point here. The point is, at this point in his term, as in 3 weeks in, for whatever it is, Barack Obama had a 75% approval rating. Almost every other president was north of 60%. That Trump is under half already just tells you how much he's screwing up. And that Elon Musk is cratering in the 30s. I don't even know where his are. And he's basically the president. They're doing everything, overstepping their bounds, fighting with people, all the stuff we knew they would do to set themselves up for a midterm where they get destroyed. So the fact of the matter is that Fetterman needs to be on the side of protecting the rule of law, democracy, voting, and all the things we need to protect our right to vote in 2 years to make sure we kick a lot of these bastards out. And instead, he's sitting there kissing Trump's butt. It's there may still be this much space for him to come back and walk it back. But I think he's already beyond the point of no return with me. I don't trust him anymore if he can go to these lengths and say these things and harm us, harm our party. I don't know. I'm not asking this. I'm not saying this to be cruel, but did the stroke change him in some way? Didn't seem to right afterwards. There are, it is noted, people after strokes one of the times people have actually had personality changes. It changes your brain chemistry. So is that it? I have zero idea. And I'm not implying it is. But it's so far from what he used to be. You do have to ask yourself a question: what the hell's going on? Well, I see what you're saying. What a Nikki D, is that what it is? Elections will not be fair. That's why they don't care. Well, we already know elections haven't been fair for a while. The only question is how unfair they'll be. And you're saying that's why they don't care. No, they don't care because I think they think that their program, they're going to have enough wealth and enough power that everybody's going to support them. Will they have to answer for for this stuff at the polls. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't stop to care enough about an Iowa state Senate race, but they didn't stop that one. And we flipped a seat won by Donald Trump by 21 points, and we won it by 2.5. It's almost a quarter of the electorate. That's a pretty big switch. So, but when I said we haven't had fair elections ever since the Supreme Court got rid of the Voting Rights Act and the House won't pass it again, got rid of it as a requirement, pre-clearance and what you need to do. I mean, they've purged so many votes in Ohio. I mean, there's a reason. Part of the reason some of the red states have gotten that much more red, it's not all due to the other factors. Some of it is, mass disinformation and that kind of stuff. But some of it is the simple fact that you've got secretaries of state in, that jackass who's now our senator, taking place, was at one point Secretary of State before he was Lieutenant Governor, and he was out there purging votes. And now Frank LaRose, and that's Ohio. You have the same thing going on in other states that Republicans control. Florida, Texas. Why do you think some of those states have gotten as bad for us as they have? I mean, who knows? They may be suppressing a couple percent of the vote. In Democrats, they're disqualifying. So we have to overcome that at some point and win by big enough that we say and prioritize before the liberal programs we want to pass. And I know we need to, and I know people need help and all that, but we need to prioritize democracy. And back when President Obama, that short period of time, we had 60 votes. It's okay. I don't blame him. I don't think anybody could have had the foresight to see that we were going to get this far off the rails. But I wish we'd done some democracy strengthening. I wish we had made the Voting Rights Act not something that needed to be brought up however many years and every year and voted by Congress, a permanent thing. I wish that we had passed basic, very clear voting rights laws, in fact, laws that required everyone to vote, like certain European countries have, but certainly universal registration. You're registered. You're an American citizen. You're registered. By the way, legal immigrant here too, has your green card, your papers, also automatically registered. That's the way a lot of Western European countries do it. That's the way it should have been done here, and many other things. Obviously, all polling places have to be equal. It's a civil rights issue. It's ridiculous if I'm waiting for a line 5 hours somewhere, and somebody else gets in right away, and we always know the neighborhoods that happens, and there has to be an audit of every single place where there are machines. And I don't even think we should ever use machine voting. It should be all hand counted ballots, but there should be audits of those too. I mean, there's a lot of things that I would do because they cheat. And nobody's convinced me yet that they wholesale pulled something, a hack or anything like that, but they don't have to have because they cheated in numerous other ways. Just by suppressing votes, you probably lose. I mean, I think a conservative estimate would be 250,000 to 500,000 votes that we get cost by that. Wouldn't be surprised if it's as high as 3 or 4 million votes, which, by the way, puts all this in a pretty different place. So worth doing that as the first thing. And yes, they'll still try to, in other ways, make this more unfair. Of course they will. They'll use, the media. They'll use intimidation tactics. They'll purge people from voting rolls again. I mean, we know what they're going to do. Whether they're still, I don't think, even in Hungary and places like that, they still allow elections because they realize if they take away the appearance of elections, there could be a full-scale revolution, and they don't want that. Now, I don't want just the appearance of elections. Michael McAndrews got to run. Thank you, and thanks again for being so kind with your gift. But I don't. There's no way they're getting rid of elections. It's how much they try to rig them, and this is something that we need our state's attorneys general and others to be suing. We need to be using every lever of power, everyone, every loophole, every precedent that's stupid, break it. Every tradition that's dumb, get rid of it. Every way we can protect elections. Julie Martin, compulsory voting works. Yes, it does. I believe it. To me, if you're a citizen here, I think that like jury duty and I think we should have national service too, but that's another conversation that would help our country. People would meet people from different backgrounds, but I think there should be some things required for you to be a citizen. Jury duty is one of those things. Paying taxes, even though Trump, apparently not of Trump some years. But I also think voting should be one of those things. I don't really see this too much to participate in your democracy. Where is Representative Stansbury? Toodles. Oops. If by where you mean what state? New Mexico. Congresswoman from New Mexico. And again, I will get this video and image stuff down, and just the way lately I even moved the mic. We've had no mic problems. The lighting is working out. I'm gonna do my best to to make this a as good an experience as possible, and it keeps getting better and better. I'll learn more, I'll do more, but I've got a big launch I'll tell you guys about coming up. Some other big things. Sheldon Hughes, Craig Palast, maybe a good guest for a show. He would be. I haven't talked to Greg in a while. I know him. It's been a while, but he's a good dude. I have to look to see if I agree with him on everything he's had to say, but he's said some good stuff. So overall, I'm going to do that part of the show too. One of the big things is I'm going to there's going to be a big launch for relaunch for my Substack, because I'm moving a list that I've had, an email list I've had for a long time online, just through a CRM. We'll be moving it over to Substack, and just will conduct the same stuff from there that I've done online. And it provides so many more user-friendly features, so folks that I write these newsletters to can respond to me in comments, and and I can embed video, and it's going to be cool. But it's going to be a big list, and so it's going to make some ripples over there, and that's why we're going to have a relaunch of that. So, while I say that, I say please, if you can right now, go and subscribe to my Substack, which is free, by the way. You should know that. Go subscribe. Down the road, there'll be some extra paid content for some really, really good stuff, but you're going to get most of it for free always. Please, I haven't asked anybody to go to Patreon today. Can I get one or two folks to go to Patreon? I've been steadily moving up. That has made my life here doing this kind of stuff so much easier. If you can go to the Patreon, there you can sign up for free there. And if that's what you have to do, cool. We're good. If you can go there and even do the $3 or $5 a month, that's where you start getting all the great features. Again, if you can't afford it, please don't. But if you can afford it, and you're or at least put it this way, if you're paying for a New York Times subscription, they suck. If you're paying for an LA Times subscription, they suck. If you're paying for a Washington Post, they suck. If it's a whole host of magazines out there that are biased at this point, if you're paying for that kind of stuff, and I know you're all paying for certain aspects of cable or apps. So if you want me to be able to do this, what's $3, $5 a month, so that I can do this 3 days a week for 2 hours and hopefully even expand. Francie, thank you for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. I should keep you up there longer, and then I can go to the our friend here, perspicacious is the pronunciation, I believe. Local TV, Sinclair sucks. And that's where I get to tell you, as I've told you before, the only people that ever paid me to go on TV was when Sinclair hired me in 2004 to be the liberal on-air analyst. And I got to argue with right-wingers. And they were actually smart enough to get that it made good TV, even when I beat the crap out of the Republicans I debated with, because people wanted to see it. But I didn't go in there. I was me. It was fun. Tanya Kangas has become a new YouTube member. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that. We appreciate super stickers, super chats, Superman, Superboy, Super Duper Sundays, and stuff of that ilk. But if any of you are thinking about, we walk away from this show, I know we went in with one more Patreon subscriber. If one of you can do it, 2 of you would be great. A couple more people, so we keep that growth pattern, because we've been growing there. And it's going to sort of develop into a platform where as I'm able to get more from there, I can put a lot more into there, which is cool. And here. What else we got going on? I read you the American Bar Association. Talked about our good friend, Representative Stansbury. We talked about this utter loser, Buddy Carter. Let's see. There was one other one I thought that might be worth talking about. That's not where I wanted to go. Ah, great headline at the Huffington Post again. MAGA Mike goes to bat for King Trump. Mike Johnson says the court should take a step back. No, he should take a step back and shut up and go back to monitoring his son's, you know, games with his joystick. It really is something. Again, this is why the rule of law is so important. That we're seeing these kinds of attacks now on our judiciary. The vice president, JD Vance, somebody who I've had the displeasure of running into here in Cincinnati, where he sort of lives, never really, but kind of at a house. He's such an absolute traitor. He's such a scum-sucking little pudgy brat. He's a fake little, well, he's not a fake little incel, but he's a pathetic, like so many of them, little incel, deeply insecure loser who can't even order a box of donuts for F's sake when he goes to a donut place. Can't even talk to normal humans. He's so pathetic, and he goes and he will do anything to get into power. Hell, Donald Trump just ripped him and said, when they asked Donald Trump if there, he would endorse JD Vance, he's like, well, we've got a lot of great people who could come after me. And they're asking who would follow up. There you go, JD, for all of your butt kissing, and you're just completely destroying your integrity. Anything you built when you wrote and pretended to care about issues and pretended that you were a conservative who cared about stuff, you're just you're a used car salesman. You should go town to town, at this point, selling Bibles door to door, or maybe a monorail. You pathetic loser, you. What a tool. And so he has now also attacked the judiciary. He who shared the stuff about pets eating, people eating pets in his own state of Ohio. So people in the state he represented could be put in danger and get threats called into schools. So they had to evacuate schools in Springfield, Ohio. Anytime you think he can't get lower, there's no bottom. Power is everything. In fact, I'll point out something even lower than that. That loser incel on Elon's team who got fired, among the many racist things that little 19-year-old tool said, was insulting Indian Americans and saying he wouldn't marry one out, something about outside his genetic pool, whatever it was. And JD Vance said, well, I disagree with him, obviously, but he should have the right to serve on there and we shouldn't kick him off. I got to tell you, and you folks, I have to understand this, especially who are parents. He has brown kids. It's not even his wife who's Indian. His kids are brown. We go to any study and you will see there's been an enormous uptick, not only in in racist sentiment towards everyone, but particularly Indian Americans, with especially the H-1B visa controversy, but violence towards them. And this man whose two children are brown, they go to school every day in a place where he's allowed guns to run rampant. Does he think, when his kids are outside playing in a playground or doing anything, does he think the MAGA lunatics who carry on their guns and might be egged on by something he says know who his kids are or care? He's putting his own kids' lives in danger. That may be worse than anything Donald Trump has ever done. Like, he literally is creating a situation with what he's saying, with disinformation, with lies, and with encouraging racists. He's doing things that make it more likely statistically that one of his children will be harmed. Are you sick? What is wrong with you, you power-hungry little freaking snail? God, these people, they just sicken me. Your kids, man. They didn't ask to be brought into this world. You, and I'm not even sure you, because I'm not sure you could perform that act. Probably a cup somewhere performed it, but you theoretically chose to do it. Now you're increasing the likelihood that they will be verbally assaulted, physically assaulted. You sick, pathetic loser. I can't say the things on here I want to say about you on YouTube. No lower form of life. You're an amoeba, pal, and a pile of dung. Unbelievable. Are you talking about somebody was saying maybe she's a right winger? If you're talking about his wife, and that his wife loves him, I assume that's who you're talking about. Yeah, but again, I don't care if she loves him. Does she not love her kids? My wife and I love each other. If I started saying things that endangered our kids, you can bet your butt that my wife would threaten me, and rightfully so, and tell me to shut my mouth and not support me in public. Sorry, kids come first. We had them. Our job is to raise them, especially when they're younger, and protect them, not to endanger them. So I don't care how his wife feels about him. I don't care if if she's so power hungry, she's okay with him insulting and putting her in more danger. That's a choice as an adult she can make. She's an idiot. She makes it, but she can make it. His kids don't have that choice. Yes, John Rankin. JD was put there by Peter Thiel. Yes. He's one of the tech fascist oligarchs. That is his role there, to destroy the dollar and move us to crypto and God knows what else. Yep, Vivek too, Lefty Gramps. Pathetic. He's going to run for governor here. And that's going to be a real moment of choosing because, man, my little area here, I love Cincinnati. You've heard me before. I'm a booster for it. Professional sports teams, 5-star restaurants, and, arts museums that rank among the best in the country. Children's Hospital, it's one of the best in the country. Just fantastic stuff around here. I love this place. And yet it's so much cheaper than all the cities I grew up in, went to college in, and all that on the East Coast and whatever. I'm not insulting folks who choose to live there or whatever. I'm just saying I've loved it here. Not traffic, not whatever, and getting all these benefits. As much as I love Cincinnati, I don't love Ohio anymore. Just me being honest. I'm not going to lie. And if we, after what we just did, again, doesn't matter if like 80% of us voted against Vivek, which it was 90% against Trump, I think, close to that in Cincinnati. And the county around, as I've said before, is about what, 70, probably 70% voted for Kamala. But if the rest of this state is run into the ground and becomes a developing country with, Vivek Ramaswamy is as bad as any of them. He's worth $800 million off of a pump and dump scheme where he pretended that an Alzheimer drug that he knew had failed trials, lied, publicly promoted that it had been successful. I don't know how that's not fraud. Got people he knew, who I don't know, haven't wanted to beat him up ever since, to invest in it. Then he dumped it when it was at its high because he knew it was crap. Walked away with hundreds of millions of dollars. He's as scummy as you can be. So if he wins in this state, like Mike DeWine's been bad, really bad. We've had a series of Republican governors who have not been good. They've been terrible on choice. Luckily, we put that on the ballot and we were able to protect that. They've been terrible on guns. They've been terrible on climate. They've been, Kasich on the environment was a little more reasonable. DeWine on that thing I can't say that happened, back in 2020, 2021. Was better than most Republicans. But Vivek Ramaswamy, so we had a Republican, but we had an old school Republican who just was really bad, but wasn't 1 billion% crazy MAGA. Well, you say, how about education, Lefty Gramps? No, they've been horrible. I did worked for a client where I did a whole report on all of the money that DeWine was allowing to be dumped into these charter schools, and then pocketed by executives. And you don't have to throw every issue out here. I would tell you they were terrible on 9 out of 10 issues. I'm not defending them. I'm saying they had the slightest sense of responsibility. Not a lot, but the slightest, as old school Republicans. Vivek is that new breed. He's DeSantis. He's Abbott. If he wins, we've got a complete demagogue who cares about nothing and nobody as our governor. And then I've got a real decision I have to make about whether I'm going to stay here. Because again, that endangers, one of my oldest son will be in college. My younger son, though, by the time he would take office, we will still be in high school. And should my kids be here? Yep, you are correct, Jane Clark. I thought I'd mentioned that before. Maybe I didn't. Cincinnati has some of the best hospitals in the country, especially children's. The Children's Hospital is usually ranked among the top 3. And even more the top 2 or 1. The one in Philly, where I went to college, actually, the Children's Hospital, it's connected to Penn. I saw Sylvan earlier on talked about how some of the biggest fascists, and I missed it at that time, came from Ivy League universities, and I was like, yep, the ones the places I went, like Penn, that produced right now the two worst human beings in the world, in Trump and Musk. And you can find plenty of horrible human beings from plenty of other Ivy League universities, from DeSantis to Cotton to Ted Cruz to JD Vance, and on and on. And when you're saying DeWine is corrupt, Michael Easterwood, I know. Again, I'm not saying he and Kasich too. Look, Kasich may have done the right thing and come out for Joe Biden over Trumpism, but Kasich's first act here was attacking our unions, and we had to and undermining them, and we had to put a measure on the ballot to push that back. He was terrible on choice. He was terrible on gun. He was terrible on a whole number of things that are important in a state. I said, I only gave him credit for what he deserved. I'm not going to lie and say, he voted. They tried to do something where I don't remember what it was, where they're going to develop all of these parks and drill for oil, and he voted against it and stopped them. Okay, so he did something decent. That's all I'm saying. DeWine did something decent. Doesn't make them good. Let's be honest here. Most Republicans are horrible at this point. By definition, they're terrible. By definition, they're right-wing cranks, whether they call themselves MAGA or not. So nobody's going to be good. Nobody's going to be decent. Nobody's even going to be bad. They're all going to be terrible. But there's terrible and there's fascist. I would argue that DeWine and Kasich are terrible and corrupt. I would argue that Ramaswamy will be the demagogic type that will stand up. Okay, so when the thing happened in Springfield, a perfect example, did DeWine stand up and do anything strong? No, but he did tell Trump to stop attacking the residents there. He did go and show up in Springfield, did photo ops, and said that these are hardworking people here in Springfield, and this needs to stop and all that. DeWine did that, and you can't take that away from him either. All right? Again, he didn't tell Trump to shut up like he should have. Or JD, he didn't do any of that stuff, but at least he came out and showed some human empathy. That's all I'm saying, is that him and Kasich at least have some small modicum of decency. Vivek Ramaswamy has none. It's like when you see JD Vance, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, there is none. There's no empathy. He's a sociopath. Doesn't matter how many people get hurt. He will do whatever will make him money, make him more powerful. That is what he's going to do. That means there's a difference. Differences matter too. Somebody asked, I saw that, I think it was Lefty Gramps, about Amy Acton running for governor. I think she actually has a great shot. I'm glad she's doing it. And she better not run away from the key issue there, the one that I can't talk about, because she led on that. And she was called one of the best in the nation as the head of our public health here. Run on it. Put them on the defensive. Show that they're the crazy ones on this issue, as we all know they are. And then run on choice and a few other things that are important to Ohioans. The key here is that when we've had two different conditions over the last 7-8 years, okay? Trump's been on the ballot. When he's on the ballot, he lost in 2020. He won the other two times. No, well, he lost the popular vote, one of them, and this time was pretty close. But they find enough disenchanted men, mostly white, but they got some more Latino this time too. A few more Asian and other groups, but mostly white, who turn out, who don't normally turn out. Because Trump, Trump the celebrity, Trump the apprentice, whatever. They play up the whole dude bro thing, and these guys that never vote any other time come out and vote. Now, a lot of them don't vote down ballot. They just vote for Trump and leave. Which is why, again, I believe Sherrod Brown could also win if he runs for JD Vance's open seat. He is about 70, and he may just be done. Obviously, I would love for him to run again because he's the most talented one. If we had Amy Acton running for governor and Sherrod Brown running for senator, I think we'd have a shot. I really do. Because again, the tail of the tape is that it is just the opposite when Trump is not at the top of the ticket. Does not matter if he endorses. Doesn't matter. We end up winning in these districts. We have no place because only the people who all hate Trump turn out. The ones that love him, who are these weird losers like, Glendale, Arizona, they don't turn out. So this is going to be an off year, which means there's every reason to believe, if the voting is at all fair, that we could crush them. And I think Amy Acton is terrific, Lefty Gramps. I think I went to a room where she spoke at a fundraiser a couple months, 6 months ago. She's a good speaker. She's an incredible record. Again, We just hope her advisors don't say something stupid like, oh, well, run to the middle on this or that. No, you run on your record. Remind people why you're in Time Magazine and all of these things, why you were hailed across the country because of how brilliant you were. Run on that. And I would maybe you even make public health a broader part of it, which includes, right? Which includes the mines in Appalachia, which includes health when it comes to diet, which includes certainly abortion rights at the top of that list. I mean, I don't know. Maybe make a broader platform for in a state that in the Appalachian part of the state sees the life expectancy just completely tumbling because of all the reasons I just said, and opioids and whatever. 343, my gosh. Run left or lose. That's right, Lefty Gramps. But you know what? I don't even call it running left. Run on your record. Don't run some fake, thing in the middle. Her record, I think most would argue, people would see as left. But you don't have to run as I'm a leftist. You run on as in you're being ruled by people that only care about stuffing their own wallets and those of their billionaire contributors and creating monopolies. And I am somebody who cares about the health of Ohioans. I've shown it before. I'll show it again. I'm going to fight for you on this. I'm I'm sorry, I can't say the right words here because it seems I've been demonetized when I've said words that rhyme with them. I'm gonna fight for a woman's right to choose. I will fight that battle. We're going to stop gun violence in our schools. Things like that. Fight a public health battle because it covers most issues. Our climate, that's public health too. You breathe in really, really bad air. Guess what? Rates of esophageal cancer and things of that nature go up. I think she could build a campaign around her strength, which is what you want to do, which is public health, and run on a number of issues that are important to people here in a year when Trump's little incel losers will stay in their basements, like John Landrigan, who I'm hurt did not even show up this time, and they won't turn out. If she runs on that, she's got a hell of a chance of winning. And Sherrod Brown's on the ticket, helping turn out our people. She's got a hell of a chance of winning, and we really could make me feel a bit better about this state. Dr. Amy will have my vote. Ohio TJ. All right. Good to have another Ohio in here. I've given our friend Lefty Gramps a lot of, as an Ohio friend, Ohio TJ. I've seen you, I believe, before. So we need our Ohioans here. I expect to see you. If you're free, be here for most of our live streams, please. We need to be representing here, man. All right. I need to thank everybody here. Some of you I got, but some of you I didn't. I said Petrazi 20 before. Member for a month. I hit a milestone. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sheldon Hughes, who gifted one Cliff's Edge membership at YouTube. You are a prince among men. And again, in the heart of my order. Michael Easterwood with a $2 super chat. Thank you. Raskin Crockett 2028. I could go for that. We could do a heck of a lot worse. That would be a strong, strong ticket. Charco B, $4.99 super chat. Thank you. Again, thank you. Allows me to do these things. Michael McAndrews, I know left, but we do have to show this again. A, Trump belongs in prison and other things. Yes, hopefully other very bad things. But again, just thank you. I don't know how many times I could say thank you to him. Just incredible. GD Christie, member for 4 months. Hey, JD, that's like you're an original Cliff's Edger. Should have given out numbers or something, because 4 months has got to be knocking on the door of when I started this thing now. It's around the beginning of February, right? It's the beginning of October, I guess. I don't know. Something like that. I knew it was before the election by at least a couple of weeks, but 4 months. Wow. What else do we have? We have Mr. Stoner to you, dude. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Cliff, any chance of interviewing some non-voters? I think you've asked me that before. I have to find them. That's the problem, is nobody tends to brag about being a non-voter. You ever see those polls where it's like, that a certain percent didn't vote, but when they ask them, everybody's like, oh yeah, I vote. It's like if you ask a poll and you ask people if they're racist, nobody will admit to it. Or maybe, with Trump and Musk out there, soon that'll start changing. There's things that people. So I mean, if you can find me one, if anybody can find me one, if I come across one, absolutely, I would ask them why. I don't know any. Everybody I know voted. And only 2 that I can think of voted for Trump. We all have families, my friends. And then again, Carolina Childers, thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. That is fantastic too. Thank you. We'll put good old Sheldon Hughes up here in my order again. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Greg Palace might be a good guest. I believe he would be. To look it up and see how to get in touch because it's been a while. And then another 4-monther, Francie Ryle. I don't know. Ryle, you have to like give me the pronunciation in there at some point. So Francie and JD, I wonder who's been here. Has somebody been here a day or two longer, or one of you the original? And after that, you gave me a $5 super sticker. Thank you. You are fantastic. Tanya Kangas, who became a YouTube member. Thank you so much, Tanya. I appreciate it. All of that supports me. All of it. I have a video I owe you guys, by the way, YouTube members, that I will get up there. And Patreon folks. I put one up there already. I need to get that video up for you guys. I need some more for Patreon. You know, we got some work to do. It's a busy time. I missed this earlier, Lefty Gramps. Thank you. $3 super sticker, my Ohio friend. I really appreciate it. And Sheldon Hughes, again and again, my friend. Love what you're doing here. $5 super chat. Just amazingly kind, all of you. Amazingly kind. I think we're getting to that point, guys. We are reaching that point. I want to see. It's going to read you the thing from USAID, but we're too close right now because that would lead to a discussion. So I'm going to save that for tomorrow. I'm going to ask you again. If you haven't, please subscribe to Patreon. Please subscribe to Substack, which is free because Substack will be a growing platform for me very soon. I'll tell you a little bit more about it as we get closer to this launch. I think I'm just sort of at this point, you know, we're at a good stopping point. So I think I'm just left with who's coming with me, huh? Who's coming with me? You guys, you know, it's going to get bad when I learn how to use the video and I can show that to you every time. So I don't have to do my terrible impression of it. Who's coming with me? I just need one thing to leave with, guys. Bye, Petrazi. Thank you again. For the membership. It just needs something. It just need even a 99-cent super sticker, as I said. Anything. A Patreon membership. Anything of that sort. So I don't walk out the door empty-handed. Something to end the show on a high note. So we all can sort of look at the sky and admire it. Look at that. Jim's got everything you need right here. Those are the 3 places I would most like you to go and subscribe or become a member. We call it becoming a member at Patreon. We call it subscribing at Substack and YouTube. And there's YouTube membership too. But as I've told you, I don't push that one as much. Oh, and now you guys are flying in with you guys are awesome. Thank you. Sheldon Hughes yet again. My man. For $1. Thank you so much for that. Super chat. From Arizona Sunflowers. Love you, Cliff. My iPod doesn't see where to sign up for Patreon. Can you put the address? Yes, we just had it. Let's see. We just had it from. Well, if your iPod can't see it, then I may just have to put it in here. But yes, if you could do that today, because I'm looking now, we have not gotten a new Patreon member. So if you could become the new one for today, it's now in the chat there. That would be hugely, hugely helpful. We'd have a new Patreon member, and I would be ecstatic. And then once again, Francie Rao with $199. I'm sorry about that. The $1.99. Thank you so much. Super sticker. You guys have done it again. You haven't failed me yet. I have never said, done my little Jerry Maguire bit at the end and walked out of here empty-handed. Maybe the first or second time. I don't know. But no time that I can remember because you've always been there for me, which is why you are a community. We are a community. Why I love doing this. And we should, live streams are great. I want to get you all at Patreon and Substack. Well, we'll get you all at Substack, certainly. I'm coming up with ideas with Veronica. We wanted to mention that already for you YouTube members, so I can get your emails. We'll do some contests, some things where you'll win a few things, and then we can add you to the Substack. But a place where I know is a community place where everyone can be, and everyone can be for free, which can be Patreon. But maybe Substack's best, and then we can set up our own little whatever there. Because I don't have to open another. I can't open my 47th. I know some people set a Discord, which is appealing, but I don't want to set up like my 47th social media. And when you say, Francie, between this keeps you informed, what I'm hoping is with the relaunch, the bigger launch at Substack, as we move into news station territory, as in, yes, it's going to be opinionated because we're not going to tell you BS. We're going to tell you the truth. But I have looks like I may be joined by a big name, former host of MSNBC, CNN, Emmy winner. It looks like we may be launching it into it won't just be a newsletter like what I've been sending out to my email list. It'll be a bigger kind of news operation. And with that, we can create like a private space too, where we can all interact, and then it won't cost any money for anybody. And I will definitely see your comments, but we'll see. Patreon could become that too if we just get everybody there, and that can become the space where, because you can join Patreon for free. So, I'll try to take the pulse of everybody at Patreon, YouTube members, everybody else, and see, through the emails and everything else, and see what we can do where everybody would like to be most. But I really would like it so that we have a space where we can all talk to each other, and I can answer questions, and there can be a lot of really like good back and forth. That would be fantastic. So I think that is it. I think you guys, I've read them all out. I have. You've been terrific, as you always are. And this just it feels like the right time. So guys, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for supporting me. Thanks for supporting this. Thanks for supporting Substack and Patreon and YouTube. Thanks for letting me do this every day. So we're building something where this is a sustainable way for me to get you guys news and for me to make a living here, and I'm loving it. So it means I'm loving you guys. And look for more videos. We'll have some more videos coming out today, some shorts, some regular length videos, some posts at various places that you have all subscribed to. So that is it. Take care. You're awesome. And as the sun sets slowly in the west, I bid you all a fond farewell.